I have already said that in the early 19th century, when the theorists of independence and sovereignty of Ukraine appeared, they assumed that an independent Ukraine should have very good relations with Russia. But due to the historical development, those territories were part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, Poland, where Ukrainians were persecuted and treated quite brutally, as well as were subject to cruel behavior. There were also attempts to destroy their identity. All this remained in the memory of the people. When World War II broke out, part of this extremely nationalist elite collaborated with Hitler, believing that he would bring them freedom. The German troops, even the SS troops, made Hitler's collaborators do the dirtiest work of exterminating the Polish and Jewish population. Hence this brutal massacre of the Polish and Jewish population, as well as the Russian population too. This was led by the persons who are well known, Bandera, Shukevich. It was those people who were made national heroes. That is the problem. And we are constantly told that nationalism and neo-Nazism exist in other countries as well. Yes, they are seedlings, but we uproot them, and other countries fight against them. But Ukraine is not the case. These people have been made into national heroes in Ukraine. Monuments to those people have been erected. They are displayed on flags. Their names are shouted by crowds that walk with torches, as it was in Nazi Germany. These were people who exterminated Poles, Jews, and Russians.
Hey, Shalom. I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, blessings, salutations to your sincere Akim out there pushing the truth across the world. Risking your life to do so. All right, to the elect, Wadi Yahbashim Yahweh Shai for the inspiration for this lesson. And y'all let it play for a little bit, but this whole Ukraine thing, you know, it's really being downplayed. And I suggest everybody go and watch this interview. You know, I'm not one to sit here and listen to a lot of, you know, people's interviews, especially politicians. You know, an hour and some change, 2 hours, excuse me. But this particular interview is very good. And Putin, it just shows, you know, the difference between leadership. You know, Biden, he can barely remember somebody's name in the room with him. But Putin actually goes through about a couple hundred years of history, right? Talking about, you know, Russia and how it starts off as republic, and you know how it started small and then it all became one nation, right? And then Ukraine was a creation after that, because I believe Ukraine was founded in it was created when the Soviet Union collapsed. 1991. He's just going through the history of, you know, basically how that happened, how a lot of neo-Nazis are in modern-day Ukraine, which I find it interesting how the U.S. can, it's crazy. The U.S. can talk about that they're against Nazis. They actually fought against Nazis in World War II. But then you'll help them, and Russia fought with you in World War II against them, but now you're helping them fight against Russia, you know, because basically Ukraine, you know, is a median for the United States to rule the entire earth. All right, they can get missiles, they can get weaponry, and they're close. All right, if the plan is, if something were to happen, they can end the battle quickly because we already have, missiles, and we already have everything over here. All right, versus we got to shoot something across the world, or we got to send troops around the world. All right, and this is why the scriptures talk about it, man. He is a proud man and keepeth not at home. All right, they're the hammer of the whole earth. Wherever you are, they want a leg up. They want a country who's cool with them, to be able to get at you. And the United States is doing the same thing with Iraq. They'll support Iraq, even though Iraq is backed by Iran. All right, so basically the same people that they're fighting against, they'll support a lesser nation, and try to flip them and persuade them, just so they could keep that power. All right, and this is another way that we know that the seven heads is not talking about Russia. Russia was never one of the seven heads. All right, Russia, after the Soviet Union, after all that stuff, they went down. They lost a lot of power, and then Boris Yeltsin and all that stuff, and then now the Lord is building them back up, and you can easily see how this could be a hook, and like it says, a hook in the jaw of Gog and Magog, which I'm gonna get that scripture. All right, but I'm gonna get this one too. Sirach 10 and 1, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. And that's what you notice, these different countries that take power, they have well-ordered governments. The United States used to have well-ordered government, but it's so much corruption, which it was always corruption, but it's so much now, and it's so much division. It's so much stuff that, one side could say, well, this is constitutional, this is not constitutional. Like with the whole Texas border situation, that could turn into a real situation. All right, it says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. And now I'm not here to, talk about what a great guy Putin is, because, they've done basically a lot of the same things as the U.S. All right, Putin, yeah, these are Edomites, which you have a lot of Israelites in Russia. Now, you got a lot of speckled birds there. But also believe, these are Edomites. And it's prophesied that they would have to basically be on the lower end, right? Because those seven heads, with that woman on them, those are the nations that got the big piece of cake. But now, we're on the last piece, and Russia's trying to get that last piece. And Putin, clearly he's well informed. They know their history. All right, they believe that they're fighting for a good cause, a noble cause, right, which ultimately he is right. Ukraine is supposed to be a part of Russia. So it's like, just like they do over here, where Esau will, give a woman perks to leave you and, put you on child support and then fuck your household up. Or they tried to run that same play over there, where they cause divisions, right, in a place where, you had certain men who were ruling, all right, certain families, and then that, this family got with this family, and we're going to control this territory. And now you have Russia, right? And then Ukraine being the division over that. And they're trying to stop their division. Right? It says, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. And really all of these kings of really the dukes, all the dukes of Esau, they're about to get their people into a world war, just like they did before. But if you notice, every time, whether it was the Germans, whether it was whether it was Napoleon, every time these rulers run into Russia, they always fuck up. That was something I noticed in the Napoleon movie. That was basically they said it was his first loss. He was winning, then he chased them into Russia. It was like Russia/Prussia, and then he lost like most of his army. All right, and then it's a lot. I'm not trying to ramble. I'm just, you go through the scriptures. It's a lot of history in the Bible. This wars, that wars. It kind of touches on World War I and World War II. And all these things are leading up to today in the final battle that they're about to fight today. All right, let's get to some of the numbers. Because the leader of Russia was the Tsar, which is a form of Caesar. And these different kings of Europe, / Russia, they were all, related. They were all cousins. As we get straight to the casualties. It is estimated that of the 612,000 combatants who entered Russia, only 112,000 returned to the frontier. Among the casualties, 100,000 are thought to have been killed in action, 200,000 to have died from other causes, 50,000 to have been left sick in hospitals, 50,000 to have deserted, and 100,000 to have been taken as prisoners of war. The French themselves lost 70,000 in action and 120,000 wounded, as against the non-French contingent, 30,000 and 60,000. Russian casualties have been estimated at 200,000 killed, 50,000 dispersed or deserting, and 150,000 wounded. The dissolution of the Grand Army meant that the French army could no longer absorb new recruits into well-established formations, nor could it find trained men and horses on a scale to replace the magnificent cavalry arm destroyed in Russia. Basically after that, Napoleon lost the next battle, and they were done. And basically, after he went into Russia, they banished him because he took so many losses. All right, but the point being, that's where and at the time the French were actually in power, over they had the most power on the earth. They had Haiti on this side, which had a lot of money. They had the French territories. All right, I'm gonna get a couple of scriptures too, Salakia. Revelation 17. And 8, that beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And that's what's about to happen, man. They're about to go into great future judgment, great judgment and destruction. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Right, because the beast wasn't around at this particular time. It says, and here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, right? 7 governments on which this woman sitteth, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is. And of course, it said there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. Like the Greek, the Spanish, which they were under different names back then, but the Greeks, the Spanish, the French, Germania Major, Germania Minor. Okay, 1 that is, and 1 is, right? The Romans, because the Romans were, during the time of John, the Revelator, and he had gotten banned to he had gotten banned to the island of, he had gotten put on the island of Patmos. And the other one is not yet come. It's talking about the British, right? The British Empire. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7th, and goeth into perdition, the 8th head being America. Right, the 8th head. So, during the time of the British Empire, they said the sun never sets on the British Empire. And that's where Amalek, ruled from. Right, and then later on, once America put its head up, then, a lot of these Amalekites came over here. And they've always ruled, from behind the scenes, but, now we know for sure who they are. The scriptures exposes them for who they are. Like I said, we are esteemed as counterfeits. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. And Russia was never a part of that. All right, that's why Russia had to kind of sit back and watch when they would make different moves, and they would, after these different world wars, they would cut up these different nations. All right, and Russia never forgot about that.
I say that Ukrainians are part of the one Russian people. They say, no, we are a separate people. Okay, fine. If they consider themselves a separate people, they have the right to do so, but not on the basis of Nazism, the Nazi ideology.
Would you be satisfied with the territory that you have now?
Нет, закончим. Вы же задали вопрос по неонацизму и денацификации.
I will finish answering the question. You just asked a question about neo-Nazism and denazification.
Замалчивается на Западе.
Look, the president of Ukraine visited Canada. The story is well known, but being silenced in the Western countries.
Спикер парламента.
The Canadian Parliament introduced a man who, as the Speaker of the Parliament said, fought against the Russians during the World War II. Well, who fought against the Russians during the World War II?
Выяснилось, что это
Hitler and his accomplices.
Right.
он лично.
It turned out that this man served in the SS troops. He personally killed Russians, Poles, and Jews.
Они занимались.
The SS troops consisted of Ukrainian nationalists who did this dirty work. The president of Ukraine stood up with the entire Parliament of Canada and applauded this man.
Плескал этому человеку.
How can this be imagined?
Как это
The
может?
president of Ukraine himself, by the way, is a Jew by nationality.
Еврей по
Really, my question is, what do you do about it? I mean,
It's funny every time that topic keeps mentioning, because Hitler, has speculated that he's a small hat himself. Right, some of his chief officers were small hats, and then it's rumored that his mother worked in the Rothschild's house, and that he was the child of them. All right, but basically, that's basically their politics, basically. And all these different nations, have these different heads. They really, put oppression on Israel. Right, the Greeks we know about, the Spanish, You know, you can still see some of their work to this day, you know, with the Northern Kingdom. You know, yeah, America was chopped up between Spain, French, and Britain, you know, until parts of it got bought out. Napoleon had to sell, you know, the so-called French territory. You know, of course, America broke off from Britain, so they took what was, you know, on the East Coast, and then eventually, you know, the Spanish territories on the West Coast that was taken over as well. All right, that eighth head came. All right, but like the scriptures say, right now, when it's time to fight again, you know, when it's time for some of the same, and that's what you see, man, the same things come back. The same issues come back up, all right, with the same people. But now it's being backed by the truth, and it's being spoken of by prophecy, and we can understand it. All right, it says Isaiah 9:5, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. All right, so these ancient world battles with swords, all right, like I said, garments rolled in blood, men getting stabbed up, cut up. You know, World War I and II, you know, they had the different volleys and fire. But now this is going to be a whole different battle. All right, this is a shootout. All right, we're burning and fuel of fire, a lot of bombs, explosives. And that's why it says, Ezekiel 38:1, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And we know that the word for chief prince being Rosh. As a matter of fact, let's just get it. Break it down. Chief is Ra'ash. Like when you look up Russian etymology, it'll say from Arabic Rus or Arabic Ras, because you know Arabic is closer to Hebrew. It's like the closest language, but you know they go off too. But Ra'ash, the head, and then the prince, Shah, or Na Sha'ah. Like you say, he prince of power, Yah Shar Allah. Right, so Ra'ash Shah. This is talking about Russia. And say, thus saith the Lord God, I behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. For in many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have always been waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. And that's what this is it's about to go down, man. This battle's about to go down. And Iran is, you know, part of modern day Persia. Like it was some Iranian guys at the gas station. I said, "Oh, you guys are Persian, huh?" And they chuckled. All right, Revelation 13:2. Hey, they said, I'm jumping straight to the line, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. Yeah, this is the end, man. The bear, of course, the symbol for Russia. Right? That's the last part of it. That's the last, Russia takes, authority, and then now they all go to war, and then the Lord comes back. It's about to be a lot of missiles shot. It's about to get crazy. And I was thinking about that. Tucker Carlson went all the way over there to do an interview. And it's like, why? Because you have a lot of Edomites here who agree with Russia. All right, and who are against, the United States and the things that they're doing. All right, so best believe, man, when the Lord fills this place, which he's filling it now with men as caterpillars, you have a lot of Russians here, man. You got a lot of safe houses here. You got a lot of other people who have been able to come here and like the scriptures talk about the ships standing afar off. Yeah, a lot of those shipments, man, that they put over here are drugs. All right, drugs. They're doing some human trafficking. On all the new containers, they have to have air holes in them because they kept finding dead bodies. Like you watched The Wire, I think that was like season 3. They put the wrong container on a container with some harlots in it, and then they all suffocated. And that was like the mystery of the entire season. All right, but Lord willing, this is edifying. You can see the theater of war in all these different places lighting up. All right, the curtain is open, the stage is set. And then we know the Lord being the master of ceremonies, he's gonna make sure everybody knows their part of the script. So if we just continue to watch as watchmen, you got a lot of the stuff like this. Like I said, who wants to watch an interview, but it's a lot of important information that they go over.
Years, Nazi Germany no longer exists. And so, true. And so I think what you're saying is you want to extinguish or at least control Ukrainian nationalism. But how? How do you do that?
Ваш вопрос.
By taking over that country. That's why he dodged the question when you asked him 2 minutes ago.
Очень тонкий.
Listen to me. Your question is very subtle,
Скажу, как я думаю.
and I can tell you what I think. Do not take offense.
Of course.
Он, казалось бы, тонкий, он очень противный, этот вопрос.
This question appears to be subtle. It is quite pesky.
Значит,
You say Hitler has been dead for so many years,
люди, которые
80 years.
уничтожили
But his example lives on. People who exterminated Jews, Russians, and Poles are alive. And the president, the current president of today's Ukraine, applauds him in the Canadian Parliament, gives a standing ovation. Can we say that we have completely uprooted this ideology if what we see is happening today? That is what denazification is in our understanding. We have to get rid of those people who maintain this concept and support this practice and try to preserve it. That is what denazification is. That is what we mean.
Right. My question.
Hey, a Bible ball. Shalom.